What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review, and today we're taking a look at MP-45. This is Bumblebee version 2.0, as he's noted on the box. Quick look at the car. It's a nice little mini, like, penny racer version of the car. My understanding is it is sized that you can actually put a penny in the back here if you really want to, but since there's an Autobot tampo on there, I am not doing it because I don't want to scratch it up. Real quick, we'll talk about accessories. He's got two extra faces. He's got this one, which is kind of this open mouth face. He's got this one that's smiling, and then you'll see the other one he has. He has an I Heart. It actually says I Autobot New York. He's got some stickers too that you can put on, but I'm not going to show them. But basically, they tell you to just kind of clip it on from the underside and then flip it on up. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it would fit on there like that. As you can see, the gun does store on the bottom. He comes with a nice little blast effect, which I really appreciate them putting things like that. And he comes with another spike. Oops. Yep, and Spike is actually, oddly, I'm glad that happened because I had no clue that he's actually cast of clear plastic. So that is a stress mark slash fractured piece waiting to happen, so don't mess with him too much. No hat, no facial detail. It kind of looks like he's got abdominal surgery there. It's Spike. One of the things they advertise though is that you can kind of open up these doors so you can have Spike look like that. So if you want, you can split the legs and you can take your Spike here and you can sit him down right in here. He's forced to be a Japanese driver because of the little spare tire, and you can close this all back up. It's not really the easiest thing to do. They kind of just tell you to lift this hood piece up, but then he just kind of moves around in there. So you can do it, it works, but yeah, it's not the easiest. I wish you could just lift this up, but the way that the tabs on the side work, that's just not going to happen. So talking Bumblebee here, I really like the cute little car mode, but I can't help but feel that Toy World did it better with their B. There's a lot of panels and gaps which aren't horrible, but like some of this stuff, like the back tail lights kind of fitting in here, like that kind of bothers me. It should be more forward. For an MP, like you really should have either put paint for that or some clear lenses on there. I don't know. When I compare it to the likes of the original B, like, I mean, this is all paint, that's all paint. Obviously, this guy's got a higher parts count, but I mean, like, he's got the clear red tail lights, he's got, you know, different translucent there, different translucent for the front, you know, a lot of paint apps, and it's like, this guy's missing that. And I get that this is cartoon accurate, but I just really feel like he should have had tail lights. So let's do some quick size comparisons before we work on getting him to robot mode. So as you can see here, he is next to the original MPB. We also have MP-44 here in his truck mode, and I think he looks fantastic next to him. And we'll go ahead and throw Ratchet in here as well, just for a size comparison. And if you haven't traded out MP-10 yet, there's the MP-10 mold. And there he is next to one of the Datsuns, just so you can get an idea of how this guy is scaled. One more quick thing I wanted to point out here is the new MPB gun, and this is the one that came with the original MPB, and again, you know, there's extra paint on this, and the gun's totally different, and the instructions of the original MPB do show this one. So let's work on getting B to his robot mode. I like to start with the feet here, just because I feel like it's the easiest thing to do first, and I don't like when they do one of these exploded transformations, which I do believe this instruction manual has. So we're just going to take this, we're going to fold all this stuff just down out of the way, open this up, for lack of better terms, combiner wars this, and bring this piece down, and then this rotates to the side at the bottom there, you can see it swivel. That can close back up, and we'll get that out of the way. We'll do that again on this side. Combiner wars, flip it, close it on up, and bring this panel down to complete the leg. So that's got that out of the way. From here, you're going to disconnect the little wheel well from the back there, and I'll show you kind of better on this side. You can kind of see, you'll split it down like that. This whole piece kind of rotates up like so. And then you can kind of get the foot so it's going to be in the position you need. From here, rotate this wheel well around and it goes in to this piece just like that. From here, you kind of can pull out all this stuff and compress it in. And then take this, rotate it down, and take the clear piece, which is a little bit scary. Just be gentle with it, fold it up, and that makes his foot. And you can fold the bumper down a little just to make it flat on the ground. So we'll do that again for the other side here. Take this on this little piece here, rotate it up, rotate everything so it looks right, push the bumper down. From here, bring the foot around and bring the wheel on in. Bring this piece, kind of collapse it in, fold that down, and fold the window around. And there we go. We got MPB's feet. From here, we're going to take this back bumper, and don't pull it by this at all. I've seen pictures of that breaking. I find it best to kind of use these assemblies. There shouldn't be much force involved, so just be aware of that. You can take the lights here and you can actually tuck them in like that right now. So from here, we're going to take this piece, kind of bring this off, and make sure these little panels for the fists go through the window here. Now you should be able to kind of get enough room by moving this armature forward to bring these arms all the way around. Now this part's a little unclear in the instruction manual to me, so hopefully we get it right, but well, let's get his head out first. Get his head and bring it all the way around and up. So from here, we're going to bring these tires up a little, which should give the extra clearance to fold the chest the rest of the way forward. So from this point, make sure you have your chest as far forward as it'll go, and it will collapse down further than you think it's going to. Like it clicks. Listen. When it clicks in place, then you'll know you have it right. From here, the instructions tell you to squeeze these in. Be very careful getting these around. They're very tight, and they're on clear plastic there. I don't think that was the best of decisions that TAKARA could have made in this case. But you can see, if you did it right, you have just enough clearance to get it around. And these do kind of clip down in place in the back of his chest. So from there, you can kind of clean this on up. So from here, you want to rotate this around. If this does pop off, he's just on a mushroom peg between the two portions of his body. So it's definitely something that can happen. Just be aware of it. From here, you're going to take this, and you can see kind of the outline of where this should fit. So you're going to take it and kind of fold it in place and bring it up at the same time. You see how it's that like perfect fit there? And then you can close up Bumblebee's chest cavity basically. From here, I'll clean up his arms. On both sides here. There we go with the clear piece forward. This little piece folds back to just kind of tuck in. Kind of funny that even on this Bumblebee there's still a weird flap that they didn't quite know what to do with it. And then it's about really cleaning up the back here. They give you this piece, which is the little signature back piece of Bumblebee. You need to fold it down, and you just gotta position it correct so it comes up and goes across his window like that. So from here, you're gonna take this piece and rotate it in like that, and they just tell you to kind of fold that up like so, and then this kind of comes just to cover down on the back like this. Like, I really don't even think that this piece was really necessary because the backpack is so kind of messy that I just don't think that this added little inclusion of the thing you saw on the back of B makes any sense. Like, it makes more sense on the New Age one where the backpack is more clean looking, but it's always just kind of like that thing that's just on the back of Bumblebee, which is flat. So the fact that it's here in this case, it just feels like it doesn't work. And I do have this, I just noticed I do have this just slightly wrong, because this should rotate enough when you have it in position that the like mushroom part here should go into this piece. You can kind of see how now it's cupped in there. So that's the way they want it. So it looks kind of like that. But I just don't think that this piece was necessary. So obviously here's MPB in his robot mode, and I will say he feels very lanky. The skinniness of the chest kind of feels weird, but it is kind of accurate to how he looked in the cartoon. So he is very skinny overall. I do think if you're looking for that cartoony version of Bumblebee, like this nails it. One of the things I like is the hip skirts here. It's a little weird, I guess, because like when it comes down is how it drops down, but then up it goes back like that. The waist articulation kind of is non-existent because of this piece here. If you drop that down, you can rotate above that piece, but it's still kind of limited. So that's a little bit disappointing, especially in that like urge to make it move like an action figure type thing that TAKARA has been doing lately. But it's not bad. So one thing I will note is he's very wiggly in the lower body, which is actually not a problem that the, 7-year-old toy now has. So yeah, that kind of makes me feel ways about it. So taking a close-up of the face, I'm not exactly in love with this face. And I don't feel like any of the replacement faces really necessarily do anything any better. It's just kind of a very weird look on his face, and I don't know, let me see, I'll get this spudger here, like these lines here in his face, they weren't really present in the previous one, and I know it's a thing for, you know, G1. His face looks very organic. You don't see the lines, they are there, but they're done in sculpting. Somehow in person it translates better to me than this one does. Even though this is cartoon accurate, I actually kind of want to take some paint and just kind of get some black into line to really bring out those lines and see how that makes them look. But then I'm afraid I can't ever go back to how he currently looks. The mouth is just, it's weird to me. I don't like that mouth. Also, when it comes to turning his head, it's on a swivel on the actual head and then a ball joint here. And my ball joint is not perfectly rounded, so it's very hard to turn it left and right, and then it just kind of like clicks back in place real easy. If you want to take the head off, it's real easy. Just kind of get under there, take it off, and push the new face in. So there's another face that may be better than the one he starts with. And then there's the happy face. I don't know, maybe any of those faces. I guess either the two other face options end up making me like the head better than the standard one. Like this just, it just feels weird. I don't understand the face. It's not like a natural kind of stoic pose. It's, I don't know, something about the way the lips bump out down here makes this pose look weird. So getting the gun in his hand's a little weird. You can see when his hands are open, the hole for the gun is not there, but when you close it, that hole forms. So let's zoom out a little. What you have to kind of do to make this work, and it's very odd, and it makes it feel like the gun doesn't fit. You kind of position it, and then you close the hand, and then you kind of have to do one of these things where you're kind of pushing on the gun to get it lined up in the hand while you close the hand more. And while you do that, you should get that tab going on in. Once it's in there, he holds it like a champ, but it's just it's the weirdest way that I've ever seen them do a gun on a MP Transformer. That said, it's super secure, so it's not going anywhere. Unlike, you know, the new age Bumblebee and stuff, it's straight, he's not shooting off to the side. It looks real good in his hand. The gun also has this little peg on the back that they do say you can just peg right in here for storage if you didn't want him to be holding a gun. So I think that's a nice little touch. So let's do some size comparisons here, and one thing I want to point out is that this guy is very floppy in the bottom of his body. This is the older one, and he's rock solid. What's he, like 7 years old now? So, I don't know. I do wonder, you know, 7 years from now how all this holds up, because it feels very, very loose and does not feel super high quality, to be honest with you. So you can see here, got that very skinny form factor on this Bumblebee. When I transform this guy in a vacuum, I'm completely happy with him. Like right now, I can't kind of unsee it. But when I see, like if I mess with this guy and I have him on the shelf, I think he looks great. And then I see this guy and his skinny look and like the more cartoon accurate. And then this guy kind of looks a little more dumpy. He starts looking like that, what were they, Alternity? Like that Alternity Bumblebee. So yeah, there's definitely a visual improvement with this Bumblebee. That said, if you are like me, and probably plenty of other people, here's the X-Transbot's Toro Cliff Jumper, and I feel like he scales better with the old Bee. Old Bee being, you know, not much smaller, but smaller than the new Bee, because now Bumblebee's no longer like the smallest of Transformers. And then this makes this look a lot more bulky. In a vacuum, like I said, on a shelf, these two look great together. These two don't look bad, but they don't look quite as good together, in my opinion. So for a size comparison, here he is next to MP10, and here's the old version too. So if you are thinking about keeping MP10 instead of MP-44, you can make a decision if the new Bee or old Bee is better for you. I don't think that hyper cartoon accurate look really looks that bad next to this Prime, but that's just me. I do also want to say that I really like the horns on this guy's head versus the old one. Now, even though he's not really cartoon accurate, I still like the Magic Square Optimus Prime here. This is the Light of Freedom, and I do think that color scheme and kind of like that anime look that this Prime has works really well with this Bumblebee. And then real quick, here he is with the X-Transbot's Cliff Jumper, just so you can kind of see. And I mean, his backpack really is not any more egregious than some of the other backpacks that are already out there. And you know what, I wanted to take a second to say, I do wish he did come with the toy style face. Given that he is that very toy style car, it would have been cool to see him kind of with that face. Maybe that's something a third party company can do, or a Shapeways thing. But at least the original one has it, so it gives you something to do with that one if you're going to replace him. And I do want to point out just a couple more things. I think I said it before, but like I said, I would say that even though the backpack's more jumbled up, it is overall a better looking backpack than the original Bumblebee, which just looks like a big shell of a car. And there's kind of like, this is a more accurate Bumblebee color versus this very like, almost like a cheesy, like a Kraft Singles type orange yellow for this particular Bumblebee. So this one definitely gets the nod in the looks department, if you ask me. So let's get Bumblebee back to his vehicle mode and let's get out of here. We're going to just start by doing these little flaps here. Kind of lift up this piece and bring this part out. And we can go ahead and fold these out. Really doesn't matter if we do them yet or not. And bring this all the way down just for your own sake there. Again, remember, don't really mess with that. Take the hood of the car here, kind of extend it on out and flatten it in place. I said hood, it's the roof, I actually meant that. Bring this little spare tire bit up and rotate it around. That should allow all this to carefully, because again, like this is why this figure is having problems, because like you're trying to manipulate this piece here, and in the process you're kind of flexing this. So just carefully move this piece at the joint down there. And it doesn't move all the way up, so just be cognizant of that. Bring that in, and then fold that up like so. So you should be able to see the hood in place down here. From here, we're going to go ahead and take this piece out. We can rotate that up. We can go ahead and let's just rotate this right now, and we'll bring that down. Take the front of Bumblebee, and remember, move it all the way forward, and then you should get that extra little click like so. That's going to give us the clearance to get these pieces out of the way. We can now fold the head back in too. And then this part always kind of throws me off. I believe we have to bring it up like that. These are going to come in. And then I believe they're going to fold like this. But we might have to adjust that later. The one thing I do know is that they should clip together like that in the center. So if you're having trouble, make sure you get everything all lined up. It should fold like that, and I believe it looks like this. But if I'm wrong, we'll figure that out in a minute. So from here, we're going to take that piece that we kind of clipped and bring it back, and we want to feed all of this through this part of the car here. This is definitely one of the toughest parts of the transformation because there's just not a whole ton of clearance here. And this all has to kind of happen while the back piece here is rotating upwards and in position. And it should kind of come off flat, and that should give us the clearance to bring the wheels closed all the way. So from here, with everything kind of in place here, you're going to slide this down. Now if you're having trouble here, make sure that your Bumblebee head is pushed all the way back in at the bottom here. Because I do find sometimes his horns kind of want to get a little hung up here. So just make sure that his head is as flat as it's going to be inside his chest back there. And then that should allow all this to rotate flat. Like you should see that this is all lined up and flat. And then you can push all this down, and you can see how it's all kind of clipping together here on both sides. But once you have that, all this should then fold up into place here, fitting right in between these clear parts here, which then should let all this close up as good as it's going to close up. You can see that the bottom of the car here plugs into the rear bumper piece. So just like that. So that's the back of the car. Everything else there is done. We'll go on to the legs here. We do that in reverse order. Open up this, kind of rotate it up, pull it all the way out and open. I'm just going to do it for both sides at once. Rotate the window, again carefully, clear plastic. Open it up all the way. From here, bring the wheel well all the way around. Open this up and then position it so you can flip that around. With the wheel well in place, you can kind of rotate the wheel properly and get the wheel well pegged in to the back side here. Just like so. So we'll do that again for the other side. Wheel well around, kind of bring this down. Rotate the car. Like so. And then peg the wheel well in place. So from here, we're going to open up this door. We're going to rotate that, rotate this piece back in place, combiner wars the leg on in, close it back up, and then rotate the car so it's facing the right way. Same thing on this side, open the door, rotate this, open up what feels like a seat, but rotate it all the way back. Combiner wars in, close the door, rotate the front of the car in place. From here, bring the hood and such down. I find it easiest to bring one side of the hood into connection with the leg, like in the front here, and then peg in the other side and ultimately the front of the car. Adjust your bumpers if you need to, and then from here just kind of gently get, whoops, that wasn't gentle at all, and peg that back in place, and then gently get that door to fit past, you know, all these little connection points here. And then everything can kind of be given a little bit of a securing push together. And you can see, again, it is fairly panely. Not necessarily the prettiest look. Again, I do think that the Toy World B did it better from my memory. But, you know, it's been a while since I messed with the Toy World B. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. But this guy's fun, and I do find him growing on me every day that I mess with him. In ways that, you know, the MP line always makes me feel. It's like I want to be able to pick up this toy, mess with him, change him back and forth. And in that regard, he really doesn't disappoint. I hope he holds up over time. I think for my shelf, he will be replacing the old MPB on the shelf. But yeah, the old one's still a really good toy, and he's better built than this guy, because this guy does that over engineering for the sake of trying to make an action figure situation, which I think doesn't help all these lines here. The Toy World B definitely does not look as good in robot mode as this guy, but from what I remember, he does the car better. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.